kind of hope so. So I'm going to go on share just now, share screen, and hopefully round about now you can see it doing its thing. And there we go. So hopefully you can see that image now of,
Yes.
and trust is the word that comes to mind, I hope. So, and also as you progress into your sort of new career in sales, sales has changed. That's the kind of the whole point of this. Sales has changed where we especially over the last 10 years, a lot of people think The Wolf of Wall Street is a sales movie and a very entertaining movie in parts, no doubt, but it's not really it's not really a sales movie, or certainly it shouldn't be how sales is conducted in the 2020s and beyond. It was based in the 1980s, and having started in sales in the 1980s, it was fairly accurate. I am ashamed to say, but that was definitely, so it's definitely a yesteryear kind of movie. Now sales is about something kind of entirely different. So yeah, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions now. Why does trust matter? Um, can I just ask you for your thoughts? Sorry to put you on the spot here, but
No problem.
why do you think trust is so important today?
Trust is fundamental for a healthy relationship, I think. Um, and it is, I mean, from my experience working with clients and suppliers, um, trust is the most important, I think, um, for a healthy relationship because it makes everything a lot easier, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I think the reason why certain companies or certain clients why you're either popular with them or why there's such a good relationship is because it's based on trust. So I think trust is very, very important in whether it's a business relationship or even like personal relationship outside work.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
That you've really summed that up nicely. And your key word you mentioned for me there is relationship, is because companies don't actually do business with other companies. People do business with other people. It comes down to, it's a very person-centric
Mm,
profession is sales. And so even before we think about, do I want to buy that person's service or product, we get into, do I trust that person?
mm.
So it's, I think, it's at the forefront of everything. Okay, so you're gonna have to indulge me a couple of personal stories to just to get, especially people who are watching this on replay, is that sales has you know quite a negative reputation. In fact, most people in the UK can't even bring themselves to say the word sales. We have business development or relationship managers, to your word relationship. So the whole notion of sales is such a put off that that you're in a negative, what I would say, a negative position even before you start. And in fact, Google um, demotes email traffic that starts with sales at. So even Google has got kind of got the message now that it's low quality email traffic if you're emailing from a sales at. So we've even got a difficulty with even the word sales. So trust, we've got to rebuild trust because we've still got to sell stuff. The I bought some double glazing. I'm going back a few years for this, and we had a number of windows to change out in the house, and it was a typical double glazing story. It will be familiar to lots of people all over the world, where someone came in, this guy about my age now, and he sat down and gave us this pitch for the windows, which looked fine. And I was prepared to do a deal that night because we'd already made the decision to buy something. And he proceeded to phone his. We got very quickly got straight down to numbers, and he talked about it in. Well, we're going to offer you 27% discount, and I said, well, that's not the right number. I was thinking more this number, and so he made multiple phone calls to his sales manager or about, I can't believe, and he was sat in front of us telling us, I can't believe they won't do the deal. Can we offer them a bit more? And all the time thinking that I was somehow naive, that he was doing me this massive favor. And all the time I'm thinking, look, I just want to buy some windows, come on, let's get a number together. It was what I would call encounters with salespeople like that just causes, and even I had a downer on salespeople, and I'm in sales. So yeah, okay. So that's just one of many stories. So I really like what Siva says about sales. He's the CEO of an IT systems or a software house. Sales isn't about selling now, not necessarily about persuading. It's about building trust and educating. And that's what I'm really excited about your career, Mario, is because you've got all this expertise from having worked in project management in your company. You know the deliverable inside out. You're what we would call a trusted advisor because you really know that stuff. And so I think you persuade, you influence because of your expertise, and that makes you more trustworthy because you know what you're talking about. And I think that gives you a great head start. So that's trust. What do you think?
I think it's absolutely right. It comes to when you're presenting a presentation to a crowd, it's about building a trust, but mainly educating
Yeah,
people about what you do and the service that you provide. So it's very important to obviously know your stuff and know what you're talking about. And that's how you really build a relationship with people,
yeah.
being honest and transparent, and just providing the relevant service that is required or the product.
Honesty, transparency, and that comes. So that's about helping people sort of navigate the pitfalls that can go because you move CEOs of companies from one house to the next house, probably in another country somewhere. So there can be no bigger responsibility in my mind of you are literally helping to keep the wheels on the wagon, so to speak, whilst they deal with all these great big life events. So yeah, honesty, transparency, managing expectations, all of those things. So yeah, thank you.
Exactly, exactly.
Thank you for that. Okay, so here's something I found because I did a bit of research in trust quadrants, and I can send you the link to some of this stuff.
Yes, please.
It is I can absolutely do that. Is typical bottom line quadrant or bottom quarter quadrant, which is absolute distrust. I won't ask you to name any, but there are certain firms that crop up in my mind where actually, let me tell you, Amazon. Jeff Bezos, unlikely to come and sue me. But anyway, Amazon is a brand in mind where I don't particularly trust them. I don't particularly want to do business with them. I trust them a bit. If I want a cable for my computer or something of what I would call commodity, I think I trust them that I press the button, I'm going to get something the following day that's going to be more or less what I ordered. That's the level of trust that I have. Would I buy a big ticket item through Amazon? I don't think I'm in that place. So for anything that's, should we say, a highly considered purchase, car, house, well, anything costing more than 100 quid, because I'm in Yorkshire, and that would I probably wouldn't spend more than 100 quid on Amazon, not without doing a lot of due diligence. So
Right.
that is trust in action, or not in action, so to speak. Okay, so now I talk about this quite a lot. There's something called the Moravian pie chart, and it's a chart of communication, how we communicate, you and me communicating right now. This is an Iranian professor from way back, I think 1955, did this
Oh, well.
research, and it's one of the most cited pieces of research ever. So this pie chart, just me and you talking to each other right now, Mario, is, let's call that overall communication 100%. You can see on your screen there actually the words, the actual words that we're saying, it's only 7% of the communication that you're receiving, just the words that I'm saying. And therefore, the other 93% is what we call non-verbal clues. So did you notice that my hands, even though I was talking about 7% small, I made the hand gesture, and you wouldn't even need to know the words. You know that I was talking about something small. So that's my body language. And we can talk about my vocal, what's called tonality with your voice. So I might slow down and deepen my voice to make sure that I land a point successfully with hopefully you, or with a potential customer. I would lower my tone, or I might raise my tone and speed up if I'm asking you a question like, what do you think about that, Mario? Something like, you can hear my voice go up, you can hear the pace pick up. So these are all, I'm not going to call them tricks because I just don't like that word. These are all tools that we can influence and help land the messages that we really want to land. Okay, conscious of time because it's only supposed to be half an hour, but I can send you some stuff on this. I've done stuff
Yes,
on.
please. That will be fantastic. Thank you.
It's really fantastic. I think, if I may say so, Mara, you're kind of ahead of the curve. You're already a really good communicator, especially over video as well, which much of our communication is these days.
Oh, thank you. It's quite interesting to see for sure.
Yeah,
Because you don't really think about it. Obviously when you're talking to prospects or to anyone really. So it's quite interesting to see the almost like the science behind it.
yeah, it's exactly right. So we can break it down. Now that we know that construct, we can now focus on the 55 and the 38% around kind of emphasizing that to make it have even more impact. Just a personal story. I used to work for a global tech firm, and we had some sales training that was taking place in Birmingham, and they had these sales teams come from all over Europe, and being typical English, we insisted that the training course took place in English, which is obviously, and including yours, I think, possibly people's second or maybe even third language, so not in their mother tongue. But they did this experiment where they got people to present their normal presentations on a whiteboard, discussing a proposal, but they got them to do it in their home language, their mother tongue, if you like. So we had a Dutch team, we have Spanish and German as well. And just to prove the point, you didn't actually need to know what words they were saying. You could kind of tell by the pictures they were drawing, their body language, the numbers that perhaps they set out, and you could get enough just to prove the point about the non-verbal clues, the 93%. You could get enough, you could understand enough without even understanding what specific words they were saying. It's a really interesting exercise to go through. Okay, right. So tips and tricks, and you might know this image. It's from the Marx Brothers. On the left is Harpo Marx, famous comedian in the 30s, 40s, 1930s, 1940s. So it's YouTubeable. It's the most fantastic thing. The person on the right is Lucille Ball on this occasion, and I won't tell you the whole story, but anyway, they're mirroring each other. Lucille Ball on the right doesn't want to be discovered, so she pretends it's a mirror. And so Harpo Marx comes up and thinks, well, they look like me. What happens if I go like that? And Lucille Ball puts her hand up and mirrors his exact action. And the reason I talk about this, and we go on to the next one as well to show you in action, is this whole thing called mirroring. It facilitates communication. So you're not even saying anything. It's body language. It's what you're doing. You can see here. Well, let me throw it open to you. What do you observe about this image, Mario?
I think they both look quite relaxed. It's a relaxed conversation. And you can see that they probably, I guess the word is trust each other. They sharing a story over a cup of tea. And they both on the same level, I guess you could say, sitting on a sofa. So yeah, quite relaxed, I would say.
Yeah, really good observation, especially about the level. Do you notice their eyes?
The eyes are on the same level.
Pretty much, yeah. So if someone was up here with their eyes, uh, they would be literally looking down on the other person, and
Exactly.
that would feel very different. And consequently, if they were, or conversely, rather, if they were right down here, then there would be a relatability issue, probably unintentional. And so the very fact that their eyes are level, really good observation there. Now, the gentleman's arm is actually encroaching on her personal space. Okay, and so I'm actually thinking that this is, I don't, there's a tap in the background, it's out of focus. So this might be in an office environment, in which case almost certainly going to be asking for a date. They are clearly quite close, allowing someone's arm to go into personal space. But these are all, again, we don't know because we just got an image. Their cups of coffee are more or less at the same height as well. Their body language is off. Their bodies are facing off center. They're not directly facing each other because that is often confrontational. They're slightly offset. And their heads, this gentleman has clearly got his head tipped slightly to the side. That suggests intense interest in the conversation, fully engaged in the dialogue. There's a smile as well. The smile is generally perceived as acceptance. I accept you. All these things, not even a word's being said, but we can reasonably infer just from looking at the diagram. And what that means is, because the mirroring is taking place, that full communication is happening as best as it possibly can do at the time. And so that is one of the greatest, should we say, facilitators of trust, is that you're mirroring the other person's behavior. And it may even be, if you and I were sat at the table in a coffee shop, Mario, unconsciously, if I go to pick up my coffee just now and take a sip, you may do the same. You may not even realize what's going on. And that's an example of, am I influencing the other person? Can I get them to copy what I'm doing? So bear that in mind. Right. Conscious of time, 7 minutes. Here we go. Next, same going on here. Okay, so on the left you see gentleman and a young woman in an office environment, very similar hand gestures, open body, not directly because that would be confrontational, but slightly offset, and heads more or less at the same sort of height. They're standing up, so there's not an awful lot that you can do about that. Although I noticed that her leg is slightly bent, and that may be unconsciously getting her eyes more or less at the same level as him, because she's wearing heels, so that will make her taller. these are all things that we can infer. In the networking picture just here, again, this gentleman's very tall, but he has a very open sense of body language. There's also, by the way, if you go networking, man, do you go networking?
Yes, now and again, yes.
Okay, so here's a good tip. So the people on the left here, man standing up, woman sitting down, you probably couldn't. They look as though they're having a fairly close conversation here. It would be awkward if you were to walk up and try and get in on that conversation. Networking is because we're you know, British people have a real problem encroaching on someone else's conversation. But here with this little group here, it's very open. There's a big gap here that's just begging for someone to walk into. Do you mind if I join you, kind of thing? And the answer would almost certainly be yes. It's very open dialogue. Another tip, just by the way, if you're networking, always drink or eat with the left hand, because the right hand is for shaking. You don't want to be that person that goes like that and shakes hand.
Exactly right.
Okay,
And the business cards.
Well, exactly. Yes, exactly right. And don't write on the business cards either. So mirroring, really, really vital. And it's something you don't even have to say anything, but that person starts to trust you. Now, there's only a certain amount we can cover in the sort of 25 minutes or so. And so I thought I'd just run you through those images, kind of let you know what goes on. I'd be really interested, Mario, or anyone else watching this on playback, excuse me, for your own sort of thoughts. Can you look back on other meetings that you've had that have been really informative and now think about, well, actually, yeah, now you say that, I recognize this was going on at a previous meeting. Let me know. Or going forward with other meetings, perhaps you'll use this. You won't communicate it in terms of words, but you will start to use these sort of tools, as I would call them, to enable high quality conversations to be had. And you're building trust implicitly. You're not saying trust me, you're you're persuading the other person to trust what you're doing because of your expertise around body language, around mirroring, etc. Okay, so some tips when you go to your meeting, and I know we've covered this sometimes more before, over and above your mirroring and all of that. So prepare for your meeting. SMYKM. Show me you know me. Show me you know me. Do your prep with that customer. How long have they been with the company? These are all things you can find out through doing your Google research on LinkedIn. So show me you know me. What have you got in common? Stuff like that. Engage with genuine interest. So it's listening. All of those pictures that I showed you, there was deep communication going on. There was deep listening and engagement, and each big subjects in their own right. Engage with genuine interest. Really look interested. Nod, shake, whatever, just to move the point on and show the person that you're actively engaged in the conversation. And if you're following up, again, this is about trust, keeping your word. If you say, I'll drop you a line with next steps and I'll do it within by the end of the week, make sure you do that, because it's an opportunity for you to prove that you are trustworthy. All of these are keeping our word. Being on time for meetings is another one I would include in that. I won't go through all of these things, but there's a lot of takeaways that we can take away from trust. Smiling is another one. Again, we talked about acceptance, keeping your word, punctuality. Let the other person talk. Mary, can I put you on the spot again?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the term open questions or closed questions?
I believe so. Yes.
That was a closed question, and I asked for that answer. So tell me what you believe is an open question.
It would be something that how to put it down? Something if you ask something openly that you that it's open for it's almost like you open for discussion.
Exactly. It's something that requires more than a yes or a no. It's an
Yeah.
open question. How are you today? Really simple example. I'm really well, thank you. You can't say, how are you today? You can't answer yes or no. So it's an open question. Whereas, are you well? You would answer yes or no. Hopefully you would answer yes. But are you well? That would be a closed question. How are you? That's an open question. So yeah, right on the money. Well done. Sorry, I'll put you on the spot there.
Bless you, that's
So
fine.
I'm good at that. Looking interested, engaged, mirroring what the other party is saying. These are all really important things. And demonstrating your competency over time. So it's not trust, not just in the moment, but as time goes forward, following up correctly with that email when you said you do what you say you're going to do, when you said you were going to do it, and don't sell too soon. We talked about that in the past. You've got to have trust in place first before you can start doing any selling. Okay, brilliant. That I'm gonna excuse me, come off of share now, just now. Mario. So I really hope that that kind of resonated. If you want the slides at all, I can send you the sort of external version of those slides if that would really help.
Yes, please. I would love that. Thank you.
Fantastic. And also, if if you want a link to the recording, in fact, I'll send it to you, the link to the recording anyway. And I really appreciate your time. I hope that was helpful. If you got
Oh, fantastic. No, that was really interesting. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed, and yeah, can't wait for our next session.
I look forward to that too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Give my regards to George as well, please.
Will do, will do. Thank you so much. Hopefully have a lovely day ahead.
You too. Bye bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.